Hello and welcome back to a new video. This video is going to be all about my travel tips. So I'm going to start with 5 places I like, the places I love in the USA. And the first place I visited first was New York, and I fell in love with the city. So you should definitely check out New York. I was just there last week, and the first time I was in New York, I was like, well, I'm not the biggest fan of New York. It's okay, but it's just huge. It's too big for me, and I feel like a tiny little person next to all these big buildings. But after 1 year, I felt like I need to go back to New York. So I decided to go back and visit my friend. And so I was there and I was like, wow, I really, really love New York. Because after 1 year, I was like, this is so different. I adjusted to everything, like to America, that everything's big here, and so I think it was better to go back to New York after 1 year, because here in Las Vegas everything's big too, and so it was easier for me, and it was really enjoyable. So the next places I would recommend is San Francisco. I always wanted to go to San Francisco. That was always my dream, and I actually wanted to live in San Francisco, like as an au pair. But the families who contacted me, they were not the best fit for me, so I didn't decide to go to San Francisco. But I still went to San Francisco, I think 3 or 4 times, I don't know. In the last year, and I plan on going back hopefully this or next year. And it's definitely a city you should check out, and I really, really love the city. And the next city I love is obviously Las Vegas. It has so many good spots here. I lived here for more than 1 year, and it's just beautiful, like this strip and all the mountains around the desert. It's hot in summer, it gets really hot, and we don't really have, well, we have winter, but it doesn't feel like winter. And so the Grand Canyon is not too far away from here. That's great too. So we have good spots here in Las Vegas and around Las Vegas. So if you ever have the chance to come here, I'm here. You can ask questions or let me know when you're here, and maybe we can catch up. And I can show you some of my favorite spots here in Las Vegas. And the next city I love is Chicago. I went to Chicago this spring, and I didn't really expect a lot about Chicago, but it was great. I think 2 days are good enough to visit Chicago, because everything is at one spot, like the tourist things. And we did everything in 2 days, and it was really great. It was pretty cold, but the sun was shining, and as I told you, I was not really expecting anything from Chicago. That was not really on my bucket list number 1, 2, or 3. But my friends wanted to go, so I decided, well, why not? So I went there, and I was surprised, because it's a really, really nice city, and you can do a lot. So that's another city I would recommend. And obviously my favorite place here in America is Hawaii. I've never been to all the islands, but I went to Oahu, and yeah, we've been to more places in Oahu. For example, the North Shore and Waikiki, Honolulu. Yeah, it was great, and I really, really loved it. And I want to go back, definitely. I definitely want to go back. Because when you first arrive there at the airport, it's just a completely different feeling. You really feel the Hawaii feeling, and it's great. So Hawaii is one of my most favorite places I've ever visited so far. Yeah, so Hawaii. If you ever have the chance, go there. I don't know about the other islands, but yeah, Oahu is a really, really nice island. The next point I want to talk about is traveling outside the country. First of all, traveling outside the country in your first year. It's super easy. I think you can go almost everywhere. You can go home, you can go to Canada, you can go to Mexico. I went to Mexico in my first year, and I went home to Germany to surprise all of my family and friends. And yeah, I think that's a good thing that you can travel outside the country. So I would definitely do that in my first year, because in your second year it's hard to travel outside the country, because you have to go back to your, I think it shouldn't be either Canada or Mexico or the Caribbean islands. So it has to be like somewhere in Europe or South America. So you need a new visa to be allowed to travel outside the country in your second year. But you can still travel to Canada and Mexico and some of the Caribbean islands. I'm not pretty sure, but I think just some of them. Okay, I had to try again because my microphone was not really working. So I'm gonna start over with where I stopped. And I went to, what I was going to say is that I'm going to Canada very soon. And I'm excited, and I'm going with my boyfriend to British Columbia, so the other side of Canada. And in February, I'm going to Mexico again. And as I told you, I'm not the biggest fan of Mexico. It's probably because I like really blue water, and it wasn't that blue when I was there in Cabo San Lucas. I know it's blue on the Atlantic coast, but I've never been there before, like Cancun or Tulum. But I would really recommend Canada. So that's why I'm really excited to go back very soon. Now we're coming to my last point, so many people ask me this question: how are you even able to travel that much? And yeah, because it can be really expensive. So I'm off every single weekend, so I can travel wherever I want to go on every weekend. I can take my car. That's another thing. I can take my car almost everywhere. And yeah, I can go to LA. I can take my car to San Diego, the Grand Canyon. So I'm very flexible with my car too. And it's not too expensive, because everybody who lives in America knows that the gas is pretty cheap. That means I travel a lot with my car, and we don't have any trains here, so I can't take a train. That means I have to take planes. And I'm very lucky that the flights from Las Vegas are pretty cheap, because, for example, my friend from New York, she paid about, I don't know, $350 to, what was it, Miami? It was a round trip, and I think it was a 2.5 hour flight. And my round trip to Miami was about $170. That's about, I don't know, 150 euros. And my flight was about 5.5 hours. So I'm very lucky to live here, because the flights are, most of the flights are really cheap. Yeah, I also would recommend taking I don't know if I said that, a red-eye flight. You should take a red-eye flight. So I did that when I went to New York. I left here on Wednesday night, and yeah, I arrived there the next morning. So I have the whole Thursday and the whole Friday and the weekend. So I will be very flexible to travel in the middle of the week. So, for example, on Wednesday night, I traveled on Wednesday night because the flights were really expensive, really cheap, more cheaper than on Friday. So I took my vacation days to travel on Wednesday night. So if you have vacation days left, I would probably do that. I usually book my flights with Google Flights, because I don't know, it's super easy for me, and you see what dates are the best dates and the cheapest dates. So that's what I would do to book a flight. The last thing when I travel a lot is because my family travels a lot too. So we've been to Hawaii together, we've been to Mexico, to Montana, we've been to Seattle, San Francisco. So we've been to so many places. And I'm very, very happy about that, and I really appreciate that they take me with them. So that's why I get to travel a lot too. Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, that was all about my travel tips, and I hope you enjoyed my video, and maybe I'll see you in my next video. Have a great day. Bye.